You might look completely fine on the outside, walking through the halls, while carrying an overwhelming amount of weight on the inside. That heavy feeling is notoriously difficult to spot. Our immediate instinct is to hide it. We keep attending class, we talk to our friends, and we scroll through our phones, masking our exhaustion behind the routine of everyday life. Everyone has difficult days, but when you treat a continuous loop of emotional fatigue as a standard, inescapable part of modern school life, you ignore the reality of what your body and mind are experiencing. To bypass that instinct to hide, we need an objective framework. Think of it as a self-audit protocol. By treating the mind like a complex system governed by an internal dashboard, we can start to decode its hidden warning signals. Without a structured, logical way to measure our own internal state, we risk accepting constant stress as normal, letting it build up until it becomes unmanageable. So, how do we run this audit? We look for the external evidence of distress across 4 distinct structural zones. First is the emotional and cognitive zone. You might feel irritated over small things, persistently sad, or emotionally exhausted. It often shows up as brain fog, making it incredibly difficult to concentrate in class, complete schoolwork, or even make simple decisions. Next is the behavioral zone. When the brain feels threatened by stress, its survival instinct is often to retreat. You might notice yourself actively avoiding friends, staying alone more often, and losing interest in the activities and conversations you usually enjoy. The third zone is digital. Your digital environment acts as a massive multiplier to baseline stress. Negative comments, cyberbullying, constant social media comparison, upsetting messages, and the relentless pressure to always be online can rapidly overwhelm your system. Finally, we check the physical zone. Unaddressed mental weight forces the body to register the strain. You might experience constant fatigue, have trouble sleeping, get frequent headaches, or notice sudden, unexplained shifts in your appetite. True distress rarely isolates itself to just one of these areas. It is a systemic issue across multiple zones. To accurately read our well-being, we must look at the entire data set of our behavior, rather than fixating on one single symptom. This graph illustrates the difference between a tough afternoon and a problem requiring intervention. A bad day is a sharp spike that quickly returns to baseline. Genuine psychological distress is a sustained trend line that crosses a critical threshold. We determine if that threshold has been crossed by tracking 3 variables. First, duration. How long have these feelings lasted? Second, intensity. Are the symptoms getting stronger? And third, disruption. Are they actively interfering with your daily life? If you suspect your trend line is climbing, you need to run the 4 questions pause. Ask yourself, have I been feeling overwhelmed for several days? Am I avoiding people or activities? Is something online affecting how I see myself? And finally, do I need someone to listen? Answering yes to these questions does not mean you are broken. It simply means you have successfully identified an anomaly in your system that now requires a strategic solution. When an internal system is overloaded, trying to process all that pressure on your own rarely works. The most logical and effective next step is to externalize the struggle. That means offloading the pressure to a secure avenue. You do this by talking to a trusted, responsible adult, like a parent, a teacher, a guidance counselor, or a school nurse. Of course, the act of verbalizing an internal problem can feel paralyzing. It is completely normal to experience a high psychological barrier when you know you need to ask for help but can't find the words to start. To bypass that paralysis, you can use a very specific, low-friction script. You only need 1 sentence to initiate the intervention protocol safely and clearly. I have not been feeling like myself lately, and I need someone to talk to. Acknowledging your own internal distress and executing the protocol to ask for external help is a highly responsible action. It demonstrates a high level of maturity and safe digital behavior. Recognize the signs. Reach out to someone you trust. You do not have to handle the difficult moments alone.